Rockefeller, unaffected by growing criticism, considered retirement, intending to transform his massive new money into prestigious old money. The reason for this critical transformation was none other than journalist Ida Tarbell, whose sharp exposés had tarnished his reputation and sparked impassioned calls for reform. Amidst this storm, Rockefeller envisioned not an end, but a new chapter, crafting a legacy designed to withstand the ages. The story begins in New York State, where John D. Rockefeller first faced life's obstacles and successes. Rockefeller was raised by his pious Baptist mother, Eliza Davison, and learned the ideals of generosity, frugality, and smart money management from an early age. These early lessons formed the basis of his exceptional commercial acumen. To truly comprehend the family's rise from rags to riches, we first have to know John D.'s father, William Avery Rockefeller. Unlike his pious wife, William Avery led a showy and dishonest life as a traveling salesman, selling magical remedies that claimed to cure any ailment. Surprisingly, these elixirs contained petroleum, a chemical that would eventually propel John to become America's first billionaire. William Avery was a notorious horse thief who constantly ran in conflict with the law. His tricks finally led to the family relocating to Cleveland, Ohio, which uprooted young Rockefeller from his childhood home in upstate New York. Eliza, a symbol of everlasting faith and resilience, stood in sharp contrast to her husband's tumultuous lifestyle. Her intense Catholicism had a major impact on John D. Rockefeller's worldview, instilling in him a feeling of moral duty and ethical rigor that would shape his commercial methods throughout his life. Despite his poor reputation, William Avery surprisingly loved education. He enrolled John D. and his brother William in Cleveland Central High School, the country's first free public high school west of the Allegheny Mountains. This event instilled in John D. a strong sense of independence, especially given his father's frequent and extended absences. Interestingly, their absences had an unanticipated benefit. When William Avery returned, his passion for deception extended to his son, as he allegedly claimed, "I treat my boys every chance I get. I want to make them sharp." This unconventional parental approach unintentionally honed Rockefeller's commercial acumen. His early exposure to his father's machinations shaped him into a skilled negotiator with an acute awareness of potential traps and deceptions in the business world. Eliza Davison was a constant guiding force in John D.'s life. As he grew older, he became further distant from his father, while his mother's influence and teachings grew stronger. Eliza's lessons on hard labor, saving, and giving had a lasting impact on Rockefeller, who frequently remarked, "From the beginning, I was trained to work, save, and give." After finishing his schooling and gaining life and business experience, Rockefeller fell in love with his high school sweetheart, Laura Spellman. This marked the conclusion of one key chapter and the start of another in his incredible story. John D. Rockefeller's professional career, defined by rigorous financial intelligence and towering ambition, began in September 1855, when at the age of 16, he joined the tiny produce commission firm Hewitt & Tuttle in Cleveland as an assistant bookkeeper. Even then, he kept precise ledgers of every penny he had. Rockefeller, a fervent supporter of philanthropy, practiced tithing from the moment he began earning money, donating 10% of his earnings to charitable organizations. In 1859, Rockefeller collaborated with Morris B. Clark to establish a produce commission business. They raised $4,000, a considerable sum at the time, and equivalent to more than $100,000 today. The Civil War period proved profitable, as the Union Army's demand for supplies increased. However, when the potential wartime earnings diminished near the end of the fight, Rockefeller and Clark focused their efforts on oil refining. The genuine watershed moment came in 1866, when John's brother William Rockefeller Jr. built another refinery in Cleveland, bringing John into the company. In 1867, Henry Morrison Flagler joined them, forming Rockefeller, Andrews and Flagler, which quickly expanded to become the world's largest oil refinery. This endeavor created the groundwork for Standard Oil, which was officially established on January 10, 1870, and launched an aggressive campaign to consolidate the oil market. Known as the Cleveland Conquest or the Cleveland Massacre, Standard Oil acquired 22 of its 26 Cleveland competitors in less than 4 months in 1872. By 1880, Standard Oil controlled almost 90% of all oil refineries and pipelines in the United States, giving Rockefeller effective influence over the whole industry's pace and direction. Despite his tough measures, Rockefeller's approaches provided enormous benefits to the public. Before 1870, only the wealthy could afford the luxury of oil light made from costly whale oil. However, during the next decade, because to Standard Oil's economies of scale, kerosene became widely available to the working and middle classes. However, these commercial tactics, which included underselling, differential pricing, and hidden transportation subsidies, provoked outrage. In 1880, the media portrayed Standard Oil as the most cruel, imprudent, pitiless, and grasping monopoly that ever fastened upon a country. This intensive examination prompted the establishment of the Standard Oil Trust in 1882, a conglomerate aimed to concentrate Rockefeller's interests, escalating public suspicion. Despite these challenges, Standard Oil persevered, routinely making profits year after year and establishing an aura of invincibility and unmatched wealth. Journalist Ida Tarbell would eventually lead a government campaign against this giant. Her careful investigation, which culminated in a series of damaging stories, exposed Standard Oil's brutal tactics and played a crucial role in the disintegration of the monopoly, opening the way for the Clayton Antitrust Act. Without accepting defeat, Rockefeller began to consider retirement, hoping to preserve his wealth and convert his new money into the more durable old money. He diversified his investments and established the Rockefeller Foundation in 1913 with a $100 million first commitment, expanding his legacy beyond oil and industry to include philanthropy.
Go forward, courageously resolved to play our part worthily in building a better world.
However, his rise from new money businessman to old money patriarch was marred by personal struggles and public derision, with some suggesting that the constant scrutiny caused Rockefeller to develop alopecia. Despite these obstacles, the Rockefeller name embarked on a path from humble origins to the formation of one of America's most formidable families, a legacy that was only beginning when he handed over control of his dynasty to the next generation. John D. Rockefeller was not only a successful businessman, he was also a firm believer in traditional money concepts such as long-term financial planning, privacy, understated elegance, generosity, and thrift. These were the ideals he instilled in his children, guaranteeing that the Rockefeller legacy would last generations. Unlike the new money families of the Gilded Age, the Rockefellers took a more careful and sustainable approach to wealth. Consider the Vanderbilt and Gould families, well-known Gilded Age personalities who personified new money splendor. Cornelius Vanderbilt, best known for his steamship empire and the New York Central Railroad, celebrated his money lavishly. His family's wealth was most visible in their real estate purchases, which included the enormous Vanderbilt houses on Fifth Avenue. These featured the Triple Palace, a trio of houses created by renowned architects and adorned with marble, gold, and other costly materials. Furthermore, Cornelius Vanderbilt II purchased an expensive townhouse on 57th Street, which had to be sold owing to financial constraints. William Kissam Vanderbilt's marble house in Newport, Rhode Island, was another extravagant example of the Vanderbilt fortune. However, this opulent property was finally sold due to its excessive maintenance expenditures. The Vanderbilts' passion for luxury extended to their social gatherings, as seen by the Vanderbilt Costume Ball of 1883, a million-dollar spectacle that immortalized their fondness for lavish expenditure. However, their unbridled luxury, combined with a lack of long-term financial planning, eventually resulted in the loss of their significant fortune. This financial mishandling resulted in many of their descendants living in relative poverty, in stark contrast to their forefathers' wealth. Similarly, the Gould family, led by railroad magnate Jay Gould, failed to pass down their wealth to future generations. In comparison, the Rockefellers' insistence on financial prudence and sustainability ensured that their wealth endured. John D. Rockefeller's commitment to these old money principles not only maintained his family's fortune, but also left a long legacy of benevolence and subtle elegance that distinguished the Rockefellers from their Gilded Age contemporaries. Jay Gould was known for his extravagant lifestyle, as evidenced by his development of Lyndhurst, a large Gothic revival estate. His descendants followed in his expansive footsteps, building stunning homes such as a castle-style estate in Lakewood, New Jersey, and a French chateau-inspired palace in Tarrytown, New York. The Goulds, like the Vanderbilts, did not prioritize long-term asset management. After the deaths of John J. Gould II and J. Gould II, descendants of this once affluent bloodline pursued admirable careers, but the family fortune diminished over time. Their formerly formidable fortune eventually faded, leaving their descendants to live lives far away from their affluent heritage. Today, the Vanderbilt and Gould families' legacies serve as sharp reminders of the fleeting nature of wealth without diligent and judicious stewardship. In contrast, the next generation of Rockefellers followed the old money traditions of secrecy, prudence, and generosity. These ideas were clearly evident in the lives of John D. Rockefeller Sr.'s children. The only son and principal heir, John D. Rockefeller Jr., inherited both his father's great fortune and his devotion to philanthropy. He funded the construction of the Rockefeller Center in New York and restored colonial Williamsburg, among other humanitarian projects. Despite his high salary, he lived a humble lifestyle, avoiding conspicuous shows of wealth and focusing on his family.
He also built Rockefeller Center and donated land for the United Nations headquarters in New York.
Rockefeller's daughters likewise exemplified similar old money values. Elizabeth, the eldest, married a banker and lived an independent life away from the spotlight, despite fighting numerous health challenges throughout her life. Alice was noted for her charity and upheld the family heritage of supporting educational and health-related initiatives. Alta, the third child, married a scientist and worked to assist scientific research. The youngest, Edith, devoted herself to music and philanthropy, carrying on the family's tradition of giving back to the community. However, following traditional money concepts did not protect the Rockefeller children from adversity. John D. Rockefeller Jr., for example, was frequently criticized for his brutal economic techniques, which mirrored his father's. Similarly, Alice struggled with health concerns for her entire life. The family was always stressed by the public attention that came with the Rockefeller name. Despite these obstacles, the old money ideals remained to lead them. Following their father's lead, the Rockefeller children tried to protect their fortune for future generations, emphasizing long-term financial planning over short-term gain. They recognized the value of seclusion, chose to live away from the spotlight, embraced understated elegance, and shunned the extravagant display of wealth that is prevalent among new money families. The financial scene of America's Gilded Age was a volatile crucible, with wealth gained and destroyed practically overnight. During this turbulent period, a clear contrast formed between new money, the newly acquired wealth of entrepreneurs and industrialists, and old money, the inherited wealth of established families that had collected holdings over centuries. These phrases represented more than just the age of the wealth. They also reflected cultural distinctions, societal acceptability, and the ability to preserve wealth. The Rockefellers, who were initially classified as new money, were no strangers to market instability. However, their realistic approach to wealth accumulation and maintenance may have aided their transfer into the valued category of old money. Their capacity to marry and fit into upper society was critical to their transition. The family made wise marital decisions, linking themselves with established households through beneficial marriages. John D. Rockefeller Jr., John D. Rockefeller Sr.'s only son, set the example in 1901 by marrying Abby Aldrich. Abby was no ordinary bride. She was the daughter of U.S. Senator Nelson W. Aldrich, a political juggernaut whose influence stretched from Wall Street to Washington. The Aldrich family had a strong political heritage, and this marriage catapulted the Rockefellers into prominent political circles, giving them not only social standing, but also the ability to influence legislation. Their offspring, the third generation of the Rockefellers, continued the pattern of strategically beneficial marriages. Nelson Rockefeller married Mary Todd Hunter Clark in 1930, before going on to become Vice President of the United States. Mary descended from an illustrious Philadelphia family noted for its modest but important impact on the city's legal and civic life. These marriages were more than just the combining of two people. They represented the convergence of power, influence, and long-standing familial ties. The Rockefellers distinguished themselves via public service and philanthropy. Notably, Nelson served as vice president under President Gerald Ford, bolstering the family's influence in politics. Simultaneously, his brother Lawrence established himself as a venture entrepreneur and dedicated conservationist. working to preserve natural habitats and promote environmental sustainability. Continuing the family's public service legacy, Nelson's nephew and fourth-generation Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller IV, also known as Jay, established a successful political career. Jay was born in 1937 and served as West Virginia's Secretary of State before becoming governor, a position he held from 1977 until 1985. Jay was elected to the United States Senate in 1984 and served for 5 terms before deciding not to run for re-election in 2014. As a senator, Jay championed crucial causes including healthcare reform and internet privacy, carrying on the Rockefeller family's long legacy of public service. The Rockefellers' outstanding charity is central to their legacy. The Rockefellers were major supporters of education and the arts, influencing America's cultural environment. They donated considerable funds to organizations such as the University of Chicago and the Museum of Modern Art. This deep-rooted generosity was more than just providing money. It was a strategic instrument for building their public image and demonstrating their dedication to societal improvement. Along with their philanthropic initiatives, the Rockefellers' remarkable ability to accumulate and keep enormous fortune illustrates John D. Rockefeller's dual character as a ruthless businessman and an immensely giving philanthropist. Their philanthropic initiatives were intentional, helping not just to increase public welfare, but also to elevate their societal standing, facilitating a smooth transfer from new money to old money. The Rockefellers were not just solidifying their position among societal elites, but also emphasizing their commitment to the common good. Simultaneously, they implemented many ways to protect their fortune, guaranteeing that it would last for generations. The Rockefeller Foundation was established in 1913, which was a crucial step in this direction. This was more than a charitable deed. It was a deliberate attempt to protect their money from higher state taxes, allowing it to flourish and benefit society. Over time, the Foundation's enormous donations to public health, education, and the arts served to solidify and strengthen the Rockefeller brand. Trusts played an important role in their asset preservation plan.
We know that problems are not solved by money alone. Problems are solved by people working together for the well-being of mankind.
John D. Rockefeller Sr. established his first trust in 1891 and transferred a sizable chunk of his assets to it. This move gave both tax benefits and protection from potential descendants' mismanagement, ensuring the Rockefeller fortune's continuance. Also, the Rockefellers utilized holding corporations to oversee their various economic holdings. These corporate structures protected their money while stimulating growth. The usage of these corporate companies established an example for future wealthy families by demonstrating how wealth may be preserved and multiplied. As a result, the Rockefellers are an excellent illustration of how one family managed to become identified with philanthropy while maintaining a firm grasp on their wealth, exhibiting a dichotomy that has become part of their lasting legacy. And now, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Some say the Rockefellers aren't truly old money, since their wealth originated from business ventures, and many of their family members have been high-profile politicians. Do you agree with this view? Or do you think the Rockefellers have earned their status as old money in the United States? Also, let us know what topics you'd like us to explore in the next video. Your suggestions are valuable to us, and we're excited to cover the stories you're most interested in. Share your opinions and ideas with us, and see you in the next video.